Hey guys, hope you're doing well. For this video, I wanted to walk you through my brushes. So it's kind of going to have two parts. The first part is going to be basically a bit of my progression, like where I started and to get to where I am now as far as the brushes that I use. And then the part two will be kind of going through my brushes, looking at which, if I could only have one brush, what would be the one that I pick, and then kind of going from there. In some ways ranking, I guess, my brushes. And sharing with you guys kind of what the most important are. So if you want to skip ahead to that, I'm going to leave a timestamp. You can go and jump ahead to that if you want. If you want to kind of hear my story of how I got there, I'll share that for you guys as well. I did the same with my palette video. If you want to see that, I'll put a link up here. It's kind of same idea. I just kind of want to give you my background, but then also tell you where I've landed now. Obviously, it's always changing. So to start off with, the very first brushes that I got, I bought, like with my watercolor palette, I bought some dollar store watercolor paints, and I had a couple dollar store brushes as well. I actually think I borrowed some from the school that I was teaching at the time, brought them home, painted a little bit, and bought some more at the dollar store and returned the other ones. So those were fine. They're synthetic brushes. I actually have a painting. I can put it up right here. Of one that I did with those. I think I did a couple with those actually. So yeah, I was painting with those for a little bit, my first several paintings, and then at some point I decided to move on to buying an actual, a proper watercolor brush. So the first one that I got was this Princeton Elite. This I got at Michael's, and I would say I wasn't looking, in hindsight, poor choice. Wasn't crazy about it. I'll explain a little bit more why. But one of the reasons why it's a synthetic brush, it's just not as good. I know that Princeton makes really good brushes. I believe they're Neptune series. I've never owned one, but they're a lot nicer. So it's nothing against Princeton itself, but the brush itself was fairly expensive for what I got, and I just wasn't crazy about it. But I did use it for a lot of my early paintings. I don't know that I realized how, there were some things about it, like it didn't hold a great point, but I didn't really realize how not great it was until I got a better brush. And so my next brush that I got, which was just kind of, this was getting into, I'm finally happy, is the Silver Black Velvet. I got a size 12. It came as part of this set, so there was a 12, an 8, and a 4. I almost never use the 4. For some little stuff I do, and then the 8. The 8 is kind of this weird size where it's small as well. So I got these, really happy with these, and used these for quite a while. And at some point then I kind of moved from those, or I still use this a fair bit. So use this, and then I started buying some Escoda brushes as well. So here's one of them. This is a Versatile, I don't know how you say it, but bought several different Escoda brushes. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I've bought different things, like a flat brush, some wash brushes, an Escoda kind of a mop brush. So different things like that. But that was kind of my dollar store to nice brush at Michael's to this was on Amazon, the Silver Black Velvet. It was a nice good price because it came as a set. And then my Escoda brushes are kind of what I'm using mostly now at this point. So yeah, that's kind of my story, where I got to where I am. All right, so part two, I want to walk you through my brushes ranked most important, if you could only have one, to kind of beyond, unpacking all of mine. So I kind of want to think of this as a bit of a pyramid. So basically where the top brush is the one you need the most, and then still within kind of tier 1, I would say, the next couple brushes. And then I'm going to say tier 2, which is kind of like, the very next ones that I would buy. So useful, helpful, not non-essential, but helpful. And then the third tier would just be extras that you totally just, they're just helpful. So tier 1, top spot, I would say is kind of a tie, but my preference would be Escoda Versatile, a size 12 round. That's the biggest thing. For me, Escoda brushes, amazing, really, really love them. The Versatile it holds a nice amount of water, has a nice point. You're able to use it for a lot of different actual, I would say painting, but creating shapes, doing edges, all that brush work, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So love this one. The same would go for like an Escoda Ultimo. Again, size 12. I think size 12 is kind of that sweet spot for me. So round brush, size 12, preferably Escoda. Close second for me would be Silver Black Velvet, size 12 round. Same thing, I think a little more affordable. I'd have to check the price on it, but a little more affordable, maybe a little more accessible. I got this one on Amazon, as I said. It holds a little bit more of a point, so if you're someone who likes to have a little more control, be a little more articulate in your brushwork, this one this might edge this one up over the other one for you. But I would say either way, a size 12 round brush, Escoda Versatile Ultimo or something similar to that would be tier 1. Still tier 1, but not top spot would be the Escoda size 12 Perla. So if I could only keep two right here, this would be these. If I could only paint for the rest of my life with two brushes for all my paintings, these would be the two that I would have. The Perla is a synthetic brush. It comes to a really, really nice point. Mine is blue now on the end. It holds that point really well. It's very skinny at the end, but it holds a fair bit of water. So what I don't like about some of the rigger brushes and things like that, they have detail. They're good for detail work, but they don't hold the same water, and so you're always having to go into the paint. This will hold a really nice point. You can do lines like power lines or lines on boats. I do my signature with it, all of that kind of stuff. And yet it will still hold a nice amount of paint that you're not having to constantly dip into it. So that is just perfect for me, these two, done. So that would be tier 1, I would say. So moving into tier 2, I would start off the very next brush that I was by, if I was starting again, would be a size 18 Escoda Ultimo. This is my mop brush. Currently, actually, the end fell off, so I'm not sure if that's just this brush or my son likes to play with them. In my drawer, I've since moved them, so he may have, I don't know, it feels like a brush should be able to drop, but who knows. Anyway, the head has come off, but it's an excellent brush. I'm either gonna try to glue it back together. If I can't, I will be replacing it. It's a great brush. I use it when I'm laying down a wash, so just getting it wet, wetting the whole paper anytime I'm doing anything of size. So the other two, I would say majority of smaller paintings, I don't need this. It's sometimes helpful, but when you get into big paintings, definitely need this as your paper kind of gets bigger than like an 8 by 10. So great brush. I also do use it for like actually dipping color and painting with it. Again, on a bigger, if it's a bigger painting, like I might do a sky with it and kind of the bottom wash or whatever. So that would be the very first brush I would get in tier 2. Alternatively, another brush, if you wanted a brush that kind of achieves the same thing but different, this is a Silver Black Velvet 1-inch wash brush. Now, the detriment to this one over the Ultimo round brush is that, well, this one holds a lot more water. So as a wash brush, works really well, kind of the same purpose, like getting a lot of paper wet, and even you can use it to get some color in there too. It almost holds too much, and because it doesn't have that round point, you're not able to kind of like paint with it as much. So it's very much a wash. So if you want to wash, this is great. The reason I got this was in some ways to replace this, which was a poor purchase. I would put this in the tier 3, hardly ever need. I bought this big brush, it was on a good price. I didn't, at the time I was early on, I didn't really know. That's the hard thing about when I bought it online. And I wasn't really sure like how big is 2-inch, what is that actually gonna look like. Once I got it, I hardly ever use it. I think I've used it 3 times, 4 times maybe when I've done big half or full sheets. But even then I probably didn't even need it. And you kind of I just wet the page with it and then I put it away again. It's too big, it doesn't fit in my brush bag, my brush case, so it's just kind of a hassle. So definitely would not purchase that again. Not that it's a bad brush, but it's just not helpful, non-essential. Right, still in tier 3, after you have gotten, you know, a big wash brush, the next set of brushes that I would get would be various sizes of round. So for me, I do use this one a lot. This is a size 14 Ultimo. So just kind of a step between my big 18 wash brush and my size 12. So it's a nice kind of like a little more water, a little more paint than this one for bigger spaces, but not as, you know, not so big as this one. So kind of an in-between these two as a medium size there. I'm not crazy about going any smaller than this for rounds, but if you're someone who likes to paint really detailed, small, intricate stuff and you love detail, I try to stay with the big shapes overall ideas. So I try to stay away from that. But if you do, this is a size 4 and 8. I probably wouldn't suggest the 4. The 8's okay. So again, going down, getting some round brushes in between, a little lower than 12. 12 is the sweet spot for me. Would be totally up to it for you. Tier 3, last tier, I would include brushes like this. So a flat brush, helpful. I did a video on painting with a flat brush. I love the way that a flat brush looks. This is a 1/2 inch silver black velvet. So I'll use this especially on buildings, or if I just want to go for kind of more a rectangular effect and try to bring that brushwork into my painting, then I'll use that. Definitely non-essential. And then the other one would be a rigger brush. I'm really not a fan of this rigger brush in particular. I have another synthetic. This is like a dollar store one that I like better. This one I think I just bought too big of a size. It's a size 4 and it's too fat for me. It holds a nice amount of water because the actual bristles are nice material or nice hair. And this is, you know, very synthetic, so it doesn't hold very much but holds a nice point. So as I said, the Perla for me beats out these things. I hardly ever use them. So yeah, non-essential. The last thing that I want to talk about, so this is tier 4, just kind of a bonus wildcard tier, is a travel set. So this is an Escoda, this is the Escoda blue set. I did a bunch of research into their different sets. They have kind of they have the 3 color sets, and then they have some kind of regular ones that have more choice. So as I looked at these basically, this blue set basically landed exactly on the brushes that I use, the ones that, if you know, that I said, if all I could have is these brushes, these are the ones that I would pick. So it has, for example, I can get this open, a size 16 Ultimo, okay, super nice. This is how big they are. The whole case is super small. You can see compared to my hands. I have small hands anyway. But yes, the next one is a size 10 Perla. So a little smaller than I would suggest, but it's still a Perla. So the one was a little bigger. This one's a little smaller. Perla, super nice for all your point stuff. And I hardly even use this brush at all, but it's there if you need it. Is the number 6 Prado. Kind of similar to a Perla. Holds this point a little better, not so much for washes, but yeah, if you are willing, these are a little more pricey, but if you're into plein air and you're kind of dedicated and you have the extra cash to splash, I would totally recommend these. All you need to do is take this, you know, if you have a little travel palette, like this would be all you need. So I definitely love this when traveling. Sometimes I'll just take that, not worry about my big bag. So yeah, I really enjoy getting it. Definitely not essential, again, especially if you're starting out and you're trying to save money by only getting a few things. Definitely wouldn't recommend it. So yeah, that is my kind of my overview of the brushes that I would say if you were starting out you should get. I hope that's helpful. Let me know if there are any other recommendations that you want. I'm not an expert at brushes per se. I'm not someone who's gone and bought a whole bunch of all different things. I went into this very much like, I hate having waste. So far, 2 brushes, I guess, that I look back and I'm like, I kind of wish I hadn't bought them, but they're part of the learning process. So I'm very much about just getting what you need, and then, you know, once you're really sure you need something else, getting that. So I guess that's why I'm hoping to share that with any of you guys out there. If you're about to start out, maybe you're using dollar store brushes right now and you're thinking about what to buy, I really hope that you you know, take my suggestions. Again, it's my opinion, so you know, you may fall into something else as well. But if I can save somebody the money and time by starting out with the right things right away off the bat, that's great. I'm not making any money from you going and do that, so I'm just trying to help you guys along with your process. So let me know in the comments if that was helpful. I'd love to hear your own. If there are any other brushes that you guys find really helpful. Another one that I didn't mention is a dagger brush. I've heard that kind of come up a few times, so that's one that I want to try. Haven't tried it. But yeah, other than that, I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video, and thanks for watching.